Hello everybody, Bodie here, and we're going to be looking at the severe weather potential for June 20th, 2026. It is currently an enhanced with all hazards on the board, 5% Sig 1 for tornadoes, 30% Sig 1 wind, and 30% Sig 1 for hail as well. This enhanced is it's covering central to north central Kansas, to western northwestern Kansas, and to eastern northeastern Colorado, to southern and south western southwestern Nebraska. And then we have the tornado risk and the hail and wind. Even that tornado risk, this might be catching my eye a little bit here. That's stretching out a little bit into the very, very north, or correction, southeastern part of Wyoming. So, let's go ahead and look at some models here. Let's look at the 500 for the HRRR. So the first thing that catches my eye, it looks like we might have a bit of a shortwave trying to be imminent across southeastern Wyoming, stretching through northeastern Colorado to northeastern Colorado, or to eastern Colorado, and then maybe even stretching down to the Oklahoma Panhandle a little bit. Nice southwesterly to southwesterly flow across most of eastern America, North America, which will aid in synoptic wise 500 for today's risk. I am on a little bit of a time crunch here. It is currently 11:48 a.m. Central, so I'm trying to get this out decently fast. I had things I needed to get done this morning. Here's 8:50, 4 p.m. I like the way this 850 looks, because it's southerly, compared to the 500 that's almost due westerly. So the fact that this low-level jet, this 850, is due southerly, going due north, this is going to result in lots of photograph curvature, which is that aids in tornado genesis and the risk for tornadoes in general. Looks like we might have a little bit of an 850 low to the west here. Yes, I believe that is what that is. Got a pressure tongue stretching down across central to eastern New Mexico. And I think we might have another pressure tongue. So I think this, yeah, right in the warm sector here. So there's an 850 low to the west there, which will aid in the transport of the rich moisture. What about the 700? Shortwave imminent with the 700 as well. Almost southerly to southwesterly flow, which is also going to aid in photograph curvature. Let's look at mixed layer cape. Here's 4 p.m. Central. Upwards of, what was it? 2700 joules per kilogram mixed layered. That's more than enough. That's an impressive amount of instability, actually. What is 3 Cape looking like? This is the instability, convective available potential energy, 3 kilometers in the atmosphere, which is actually, this is one of my favorite things to look at for severe weather forecasting. And it looks like we might have a bit from the storms firing, so let's take a sounding here, see what it looks like. Marginal tornado. Okay, so this moisture, it reaches deep, uh, actually pretty far into the atmosphere. Very saturated. Some decently steep lapse rates, manageable LCLs. That's actually not bad LCLs considering uh, the elevation in the area of concern today. Really nice venting, lots of low-level shear, especially in the low levels. Exceptional amount of low-level shear, both speed and directional. So, um, decent, workable wind shear, almost an impressive low-level wind shear. Stretching through 1 to 2 to 3 kilometers. The wind shear is quite impressive, actually. It's not, especially after this 850 starts to kick in from the south. I think that actually might be this low level wind shear is looking so impressive. Give that 700 and the 500 a little bit more time to work themselves, and this hodograph curvature we might see a significant uptick in this hodograph curvature. Classic supercell setup here, hodograph wise. It's not leaning much towards a low precipitation or a high precipitation setup. If anything, honestly, might be a little bit lower precipitation setup, but this is definitely classic. Vertical mixing is not going to be an issue today, as you can see by the amount of saturation on this SKUT, which honestly might cause a bit more of high precipitation storm structures. Not much of a capping inversion at all here. There's no cap. Cap has eroded, at least as of right now. The soundings are not depicting any sort of capping inversion. Let's look at 0 through 6 kilometer shear. Okay, so this is post-storm initiation. Let's see what storms have to work with prior. Upwards of 60 knots of 0 through 6 kilometer shear, that's well more than enough. The low level shear might be a little bit more of a problem, but I think the 850 is going to, I think that low level jet might offset this 0 through 1 or this low level shear. So might have to look at this a little bit, but for the most part, I don't think this is going to be much of a problem considering the low level jet. Let's look at some observations. So let's go here. Bulk shear effective. Let's see what we're working with here. Okay, so an absolute absurd amount of effective bulk shear in northeastern, actually this triple point of Kansas, Nebraska, in Colorado. That is an impressive belt of effective bulk shear, which is going to significantly aid in tornado genesis probability. So a belt of 25 3-kilometer cape in front of these supercells here. 125 to the southernmost part. This is gonna be something we're gonna keep an eye on here. I still think, because the amount of effective bulk shear that's imminent at the triple point, the 3-kilometer instability won't be much of a problem, but still something to keep in mind. Let's look at the Mayslayer Cape. Okay, yes, upwards of 300, a belt of 300, or correction, 3,000 joules per kilogram at the triple point. Once again, and let's just for the fun of it, let's look at significant tornado effective layer. Okay, so STP effective is really thinking that once again that triple point, maybe a little bit more eastern into Kansas. We'll just have to keep an eye on it. Let's look at current surface observations. Okay. So decently moist in the area of interest today. It is still prior. It's not even 12 p.m. Central yet. So this is very nice, especially prior to moisture transport. You can see the southeasterly flow from these higher dew points over here. It's going to be injecting into our area of interest, which is going to obviously it's going to significantly aid in the transport of rich moisture. There's a bit of a surface low. Yes, okay. Let's see if we can kind of draw the millibar contours here. Maybe a little bit more. So here's our warm sector here, which adds up, considering this is where uh, probability for most significant severe weather is going to be, especially along this warm frontal boundary here, right at this triple point. I think this is definitely going to be a good area to target here, chasing wise today, especially after this frontal boundary continues to inch its way more north and have this triple point south of the frontal boundary. Let's look at some of the current moisture per chance. Temperature dew point. Okay. So here is currently, you can see this rich, deeper moisture back here to the southeast that's going to be injecting into the area of interest throughout the day, especially this tongue of low 60s that's reaching into the panhandle of Nebraska and maybe even a little might make its way into a little bit of southeastern Wyoming. This might be something to keep an eye on actually, especially with the way that this tongue of moisture is reaching up that way. This is definitely going to be something to look at. And maybe we can, let's see here. Okay. Yeah, you can see that that moisture return is going to pretty much slam dunk the area of interest today, because as soon as that moisture starts returning, that's when storms fire and then just completely take over. So these storms are going to have plenty of moisture to work with. Let's go to the wrap and maybe take a sounding or two. Let's go to 00 Zulu and take one right here at the triple point. 71 dew point here. Let's go back and maybe take one a little bit more off of this nose of 70. A little bit more to the east. Okay, let's look. Wow. Okay. First thing that definitely caught my eye, which I feel like it would catch anyone's eye really, is this the amount of curvature in this photograph with the amazing, amazing venting, classic supercell setup. Lots of low-level backing here, and then back to veering, especially backing at these lower levels, and then the rest of just veering. Very saturated here at the middle levels. This is what's definitely going to be giving it the 30% sig 1 hail. Very steep mixed layer lapse rates, 8.0 Celsius per kilometer. Workable, definitely workable and manageable LCO heights, especially if you take the elevation of the area of interest into consideration. And amazing temperature profile spread, 76 over 70, which is amazing. Quite not. This is a quite an impressive thick instability profile, upwards of 30 of over 3,200 uh, joules per kilogram on the mixed layer cape, and then the storm relative helicity upwards of 447 meters squared per second squared, and the shear profile is almost textbook. So I think today might go a little bit bigger than some people might think. There's still some things that could potentially make today not as good as as the original thought, especially considering the amount of 3 kilometer instability. Not the greatest. Not much of a capping inversion here, which is going to help get these storms fired off relatively early, perchance, and then steep lapse rates is going to help aid the instability as well. Let's look at some cams. Okay. So here's 8, 9, 10. Let's see. Okay. So might have a few discrete cells early on, storm initiation around 2 to 3 p.m. Central-ish. This is really catching my eye, these discrete cells down here, because this is where the better 3 kilometer cape 3 kilometer instability is imminent. So let's take a sounding here and see what this looks like. Okay. Very, very big temperature dew point spread. Very high LCOs. Okay. This is a pretty pitiful looking sounding, actually. So we'll keep our eye on that. These cells up here are going to be right at this triple point-ish area is going to be where the amount of effective bulk shear is going to be imminent. So if I was chasing, I would be targeting probably this triple point up here, but also especially with the tongue of moisture that reaches up into the Nebraska Panhandle, and it also adds up with this discrete cell here at the Wyoming Nebraska border. This might be something to really take into consideration. This could perchance be something that you'd want to keep your eye on for sure. A discrete supercell moving into very elevated terrain, as well with the tongue of moisture that's stretching out. This storm right here could definitely be something to keep an eye on, especially with the amount of dry air aloft and the lower to even mid upper levels can aid uh, perhaps some photogenic tornadoes and also supercells. This might be something to keep an eye on. Storm mode isn't looking the greatest, but it's not looking too horrible either. We'll just these cells do look decent, a little bit discrete at first, and might turn into a little bit of keel CS. And just for fun, let's look at updraft helicity, see what they're agreeing on. Okay, so like I said, this one up here, this updraft helicity streak is looking very robust. Like I think up here, I think this Wyoming Nebraska border might be something we really want to perhaps keep our eye on. Let's see what models are trying to agree on wise here. Okay, so models are agreeing on this Wyoming Nebraska play up here on a discrete supercell, perhaps maybe even a few, but one very robust discrete cell. Here's 6 p.m. on the HRRR, 6 p.m. on the Rufus, 7 p.m. Rufus, 8 p.m. Rufus. Very robust looking. And then the triple point up here is also looking a little bit more robust on the Rufus, maybe. But for the most part, it's not too bad. Let's take a sounding at this triple point here. This is workable. We'll just have to see how this plays out, really. Anyway, a decent risk. Might not be the greatest, like a mind-blowing tornado chance, but definitely is something that you would want to perhaps keep your eye on. Just monitor if you're in the general area. Just stay weather aware. And this is it. This is June 20th, 2026, Saturday, and we'll see how this one plays out. And until I see you guys in the next video, stay safe, stay weather aware. We'll see ya.